Captain Kim Miho stood on the bridge of Kepler Station, watching the morning shift begin their work. The massive research facility orbited the blue-green planet below, home to 10,000 humans who had come here to build a better future. Scientists worked alongside their alien colleagues in the laboratories. Children laughed in the recreation areas. Families shared meals in the communal dining halls. The station was humanity's greatest achievement in space. 5 years ago, the Galactic Confederation had invited humans to join their peaceful alliance. They offered this world as a gesture of friendship. The humans had worked day and night to build this beautiful station where different species could live and work together. Dr. Lee Jaiwan walked through the corridors holding her daughter's small hand. 8-year-old Yunbai skipped beside her mother, excited about their morning tradition. Every day they would go to the observation deck to watch the sunrise over the planet's surface. "Can we stay longer today, Mama?" Yunbai asked, pressing her face against the massive viewing window. "Of course, little star," Jaiwan smiled, using her daughter's nickname. The child's eyes sparkled as golden light painted the planet's clouds in brilliant colors. In the engineering section, Dr. Park Soo-jin helped her 10-year-old son Jimin with his homework. The boy was building a model of the station for his school project. His small fingers carefully placed tiny pieces together while his father watched proudly. "When I grow up, I want to be an engineer like you, Appa," Jimin said, holding up his creation. "You will build even greater things than this," Soo-jin replied, ruffling his son's hair. The alien workers moved peacefully through the station. Zephyrians with their tall, graceful bodies helped in the medical bay. Vorthans with their multiple arms worked efficiently in the construction zones. The crystalline beings shared their advanced knowledge in the research labs. For 5 years this cooperation had worked perfectly. Humans learned from their alien friends. Children played together regardless of what planet they came from. It seemed like the beginning of a golden age for the galaxy. Captain Miho was reviewing the morning reports when his communications officer looked up with confusion. "Sir, we're getting readings of ships dropping out of hyperspace. Multiple contacts. Probably a supply convoy," Miho said without looking up from his tablet. "Have them transmit their identification codes." The officer's voice became worried. "Sir, these are military vessels. Confederation fleet signatures." Miho raised his head. Something felt wrong. No military ships were scheduled to visit. He walked to the main display screen and watched as dozens of warships appeared around the station. "Open communication with the fleet commander," he ordered. Static filled the speakers. Then a cold alien voice responded, "Kepler Station, you have 30 seconds to surrender all human personnel for processing." Processing? Miho felt ice in his stomach. "What are you talking about? We're part of the Confederation. This station is protected territory." "Negative. The Confederation Council has decided that humans are too dangerous to remain free. You will surrender now or be destroyed. This has to be some kind of mistake. We're allies. We have a peace treaty." The alien voice laughed. "Treaties are just paper, human. Your species has served its purpose. Now you will serve ours." Miho's blood turned cold. Around the station he could see weapon ports opening on the alien ships. "All hands, this is the captain. Emergency stations. This is not a drill." The first plasma bolt hit the station's shield generators. Alarms screamed throughout the corridors as the lights flickered. Families ran for emergency shelters while security teams tried to reach their positions. Dr. Jaiwan grabbed Yunbai and ran toward the escape pod bay. The little girl cried in terror as explosions shook the station. Other families crowded into the corridors, carrying crying children and few belongings they could grab. "The escape pods," someone shouted. "Get to the escape pods." But when they reached the bay, their hearts broke. Through the windows they could see Vorthan fighter ships systematically destroying every escape pod as it launched. The small vessels exploded in brilliant flashes, taking entire families with them. "They're killing everyone who tries to escape," a man whispered in horror. Captain Miho watched helplessly from the bridge as his people died. The alien ships were not trying to capture the station. They were trying to kill everyone aboard. Every escape attempt ended in death. Every plea for mercy was ignored. "Why are they doing this?" his communications officer asked, tears streaming down her face. Through the internal cameras, Miho could see alien soldiers who had been working peacefully alongside humans just hours ago. Now they moved through the corridors with weapons, shooting anyone they encountered. They showed no emotion as they stepped over human bodies. Dr. Park Soo-jin tried to protect his son, but a crystalline soldier found them hiding in a storage room. The being that had shared knowledge and friendship with humans for years looked at the terrified child with cold calculation. "Please," Soo-jin begged, He's just a boy. The alien raised its weapon without hesitation. The massacre continued for 4 hours. Plasma fire tore through the station's hull. Families suffocated as atmosphere vented into space. Children's screams echoed through the corridors until they were silenced forever. When it ended, 9,847 humans were dead. Only 153 survivors managed to escape in a single damaged frigate that had hidden behind the planet's rings. They carried with them security footage that showed the truth of what happened. Dr. Park Soo-jin sat in the cramped escape ship, holding her dead son's toy robot. Her husband and child were gone. Her life was destroyed. Around her, other survivors wept quietly. "We trusted them," she whispered, staring at the small toy that would never bring joy to her boy again. The survivors looked back at the burning station where their loved ones had died. They had believed in peace. They had believed in friendship between species. Now they knew the truth about their alien allies. The damaged frigate limped into Earth's orbit 3 weeks after the massacre. News crews waited at the space dock, expecting to welcome heroes from humanity's greatest space station. Instead, they found 153 broken survivors carrying footage that would change the world forever. Dr. Park Soo-jin stepped off the ship clutching her son's toy robot. Reporters pushed microphones toward her face, asking about the accident at Kepler Station. She looked directly into the cameras with hollow eyes. "There was no accident," she said quietly. "They murdered our children. All of them." The footage spread across Earth within hours. People watched in horror as alien soldiers who had lived peacefully with humans for years suddenly turned into killers. The videos showed Confederation troops laughing while children screamed. They showed aliens harvesting valuable materials from the station while human families suffocated in the cold vacuum of space. General Choi Ji-hoon sat in his military office, watching the footage for the 100th time. His younger brother had been a teacher on Kepler Station. His nephew, only 6 years old, had loved drawing pictures of spaceships. Now they were both dead, killed by creatures they had called friends. The general's hands shook as he closed the video file. For 5 years, Earth had believed in peaceful cooperation with alien species. They had sent their best and brightest to live among the stars. Now those same aliens had revealed their true nature. The Earth Council called an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered in Geneva, their faces grim with shock and anger. General Choi stood before them, his uniform bearing black ribbons for the dead. "The Galactic Confederation invited us to join them in peace," he began, his voice steady but cold. "They offered us friendship. They gave us a home among the stars. Then they slaughtered our people like animals and laughed while they did it." The chamber fell silent except for quiet weeping from some representatives. "They thought we were insects to be crushed when we became inconvenient. They believed humans would accept this massacre and move on. They were wrong." His voice grew harder. "They will learn what humans become when our children are murdered." Within days, every nation on Earth put aside their differences. Old enemies became allies. Military budgets increased by thousands of %. Peaceful space programs transformed into weapons research projects. The entire planet united with a single goal: revenge. Dr. Kang Seoyin had lost her husband in the massacre. He had been a botanist, growing food for the station's families. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien species for peaceful purposes. Now she would use that knowledge for war. "Humans are different from every species in the Confederation," she explained to a room full of military officers. "They see war as a business calculation. They fight until the cost becomes too high, then they negotiate. They cannot understand what we really are." She brought up holographic displays showing alien psychology profiles. "When humans fight, we do not calculate profit and loss. We fight with emotion. We fight with anger. We fight with love for those we have lost. This makes us unpredictable. This makes us dangerous." The officers leaned forward, hungry for any advantage. Every alien species has weaknesses. The Zephyrians depend on their plasma technology. The Vorthans think in group patterns. The crystalline beings follow pure logic. We will turn their strengths into weaknesses. Factories across Earth began working day and night. The peaceful manufacturing plants that once built homes and schools now produced weapons. Shipyards that had created exploration vessels started building warships. Every human settlement in space sent resources back to Earth. Admiral Han Minjun oversaw the most important project, the Ghost Fleet. These ships looked exactly like merchant vessels from the outside. Alien scanners would see cargo haulers and trading ships. Hidden inside were the most powerful weapons humanity had ever created. Each ship in the Ghost Fleet carried something special painted in tiny letters along its hull. The names of every person who died at Kepler Station. Little Yunbai's name was painted on the destroyer Morning Star. Dr. Park's son Jimin was remembered on the heavy cruiser Future's Hope. They will see these names when we come for them, Admiral Han told his shipbuilders. Every shot we fire will carry the memory of who they killed. The survivors of Kepler Station did not rest. Dr. Park Soo-jin became an engineer, designing new weapons systems. She worked 18 hours a day, driven by the memory of her dead family. Other survivors joined the military or went to work in the weapons factories. They all carried the same burning desire, to make the aliens pay. General Choi established training programs unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Human soldiers learned to fight without mercy. They studied alien anatomy to know exactly where to strike for maximum damage. They practiced psychological warfare designed to break alien minds. The Confederation believes we are a young species that will forget this tragedy and move on, he told new recruits. They do not understand human nature. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We remember everything. The years passed slowly. Earth's children grew up hearing stories about Kepler Station. They learned the names of the dead in school. They saw the footage that showed how aliens really thought about humans. Each generation became more determined than the last. Scientists worked around the clock to understand alien technology and improve upon it. Spies infiltrated Confederation space, gathering intelligence on military positions and political weaknesses. Diplomats smiled and spoke of peace while secretly planning war. 20 years after the massacre, Earth was ready. The Ghost Fleet filled secret shipyards. Weapons that could destroy entire planets waited in hidden bases. Millions of soldiers trained for the day they would face the aliens who had murdered their people. Dr. Park Soo-jin, now gray-haired but still fierce, stood in the memorial hall where every victim's photo was displayed. She held her son's toy robot, worn smooth by 2 decades of handling. "We remember you all," she whispered to the faces on the wall. "We remember every name, every face, every scream. And soon they will pay." The time for revenge was coming. Admiral Kim Yuna stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the Zephyrian trade station grow larger on the viewing screen. Her ship looked like any other merchant vessel from the outside. The aliens scanning it would see cargo holds filled with Earth's goods and a small crew interested in peaceful trade. They could not see the hidden weapons compartments. They could not detect the soldiers waiting in secret chambers. They had no idea that death was approaching their worlds disguised as friendship. "Admiral, we're receiving a welcoming message from the Zephyrian Port Authority," her communications officer reported. "Put it through," Yuna replied, keeping her voice calm. A tall Zephyrian appeared on the screen, its blue skin gleaming under the station's lights. "Welcome, human traders. We are pleased to see your species has returned to space commerce. Please dock at Bay 7. Our merchants are eager to do business with you." "Thank you for your hospitality," Admiral Yuna said with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "We look forward to profitable exchanges." The alien cut the transmission, completely unaware that it had just welcomed its own executioners. 20 years had passed since the Kepler massacre. The Confederation had forgotten about the primitive humans and their small tragedy. They assumed Earth had moved on as any logical species would. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Yuna checked her chronometer. In exactly 12 hours, Operation Remembrance would begin. Across 17 star systems, human fleets disguised as merchant ships were approaching Confederation worlds. Each fleet carried the same hidden cargo: weapons, soldiers, and an unquenchable thirst for revenge. "All stations report status," she ordered quietly. "Ghost Fleet Alpha in position at Zephyrian Prime. Ghost Fleet Beta approaching Vorthan colonies. Ghost Fleet Gamma ready at crystalline mining worlds." One by one, 15 more fleets confirmed their positions. The humans had spent 2 decades planning this moment. Every target had been carefully chosen. Every weakness had been studied. Every alien who had participated in the Kepler massacre would pay. Commander Yong Hyun-soo sat in his command chair aboard the destroyer Little Star, named for Lee Yunbai, who had loved watching sunrises. His ship floated peacefully near a Zephyrian military base, appearing to be a simple cargo vessel waiting for permission to land. The base commanders had no idea that Yong carried enough firepower to level their entire facility. They had invited him to dock tomorrow morning for routine trade inspections. Instead, they would receive something very different. Yong looked at the list of names on his tablet. Every person who died at Kepler Station was written there, along with their ages and what they had been doing when the aliens murdered them. Lee Yunbai, age 8, watching a sunrise with her mother. Park Jimin, age 12, building a model spaceship. Dr. Kim Sunho, age 34, helping alien colleagues in the research lab. Each name will be spoken, Jung whispered to himself. Each death will be avenged. At exactly 0600 hours across 17 different time zones, Operation Remembrance began. Admiral Yuna's flagship suddenly transformed. Hidden panels opened to reveal massive cannon barrels. Weapon pods deployed from fake cargo holds. The peaceful merchant ship became a destroyer capable of cracking planets. "This is Admiral Yuna of the Earth Defense Force," she broadcast on all frequencies. 20 years ago you murdered our people at Kepler Station. Today we remember them all." Her weapons fired before the aliens could respond. Plasma bolts designed from captured Confederation technology tore through the Zephyrian station's shields like paper. The aliens who had once laughed while human children screamed now screamed themselves as their home burned. Commander Jung's voice echoed across the Zephyrian military base as his ship revealed its true nature. "This is for Lee Yunbai, age 8, who only wanted to watch the sunrise. This is for Park Jimin, age 12, who dreamed of building spaceships among the stars." Kinetic bombardment platforms deployed from his vessel, raining tungsten rods down on the base below. Each impact hit with the force of a nuclear weapon, turning the alien facility into a crater of molten metal and glass. Across space, other human commanders spoke the names of the dead before unleashing hell on Confederation worlds. Captain Song Nari led ground forces against Vorthan colonies, carrying weapons designed specifically to exploit their hive mind nature. The Vorthans thought as a group, sharing thoughts through biological networks that made them incredibly efficient. Dr. Kang Seoyin had spent years studying this trait. Now Song used it against them. "Deploy the feedback generators," she ordered her troops as they landed on the planet's surface. The devices sent psychic static directly into the Vorthan communication network. What should have been organized thoughts became chaos. The aliens who could once coordinate perfectly suddenly could not think straight. Some went insane from the mental noise. Others collapsed as their shared consciousness tore itself apart. Song watched without emotion as Vorthan cities fell into madness. These were the same creatures who had stepped over human children while harvesting Kepler Station. They deserved no mercy. Biowarfare agents designed specifically for alien physiology spread through Confederation colonies. Crystalline beings found their logical thought processes disrupted by chemicals that made clear thinking impossible. Zephyrians discovered that their plasma technology failed when humans introduced electromagnetic interference that overloaded their systems. Every weakness the aliens possessed became a weapon in human hands. 20 years of careful study and preparation paid off as Confederation defenses crumbled. Captain Lee Min-soo commanded the assault on a crystalline mining world. His ship bore the name Future's Dream, in honor of all the children who would never grow up. As alien structures collapsed under human bombardment, he thought about Dr. Park's son who had wanted to be an engineer. "This planet burns for you, Jimin," he said quietly. "This victory carries your name." By the end of the first day, 17 Confederation worlds were in flames. The aliens who had thought themselves masters of the galaxy suddenly found themselves fighting for survival against creatures they had dismissed as primitive. Each human victory was dedicated to the dead of Kepler Station. Each burning alien city carried a human child's name into the darkness of space. The crusade had begun. The Confederation High Command gathered in their crystal spire on the capital world, their faces showing something they had never experienced before: fear. For 3 months, human fleets had appeared across the galaxy like ghosts, striking without warning and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. Supreme Commander Zethkar, a towering crystalline being, studied the tactical displays with growing horror. Red markers showed human victories across 47 worlds. Each marker represented a Confederation colony that had been completely destroyed. "How is this possible?" demanded General Vorthan, his multiple arms gesturing frantically. "Humans are a primitive species. We crushed their station 20 years ago. They should have accepted their place. Clearly we underestimated them," Zethkar replied, his crystalline voice cracking with stress. "Their tactics make no logical sense. They sacrifice entire fleets to destroy single targets. They fight like madmen." Admiral Shin Dae-hoon watched the Confederation fleet approach through his ship's sensors. His vessel, the Mother's Love, bore a child's drawing taped to the command console. Little Yunbai had drawn her family standing together under a bright yellow sun. Now that drawing was going into battle against the aliens who had killed her. "Sir, enemy fleet is requesting surrender terms," his communications officer reported. "Patch me through to their commander," Shin replied. A Zephyrian admiral appeared on the screen, his blue face pale with exhaustion. Human commander, we wish to discuss terms for our withdrawal from this system. There are no terms, Shin said simply. You killed our children. Now you die. Be reasonable. War is about resources and territory. We can negotiate. We can find a solution that benefits everyone. Shin held up the child's drawing. This was made by Li Yunbai, age 8. She drew her family before your people murdered them. Tell me, alien, what resources justify killing a child who only wanted to watch the sunrise? The Zephyrian stared at the drawing, confusion clear on his face. I do not understand. The child is dead. Why does this matter now? That is why you will lose, Shin said, cutting the transmission. The human fleet attacked with tactics that horrified the aliens. Ships deliberately rammed enemy vessels, their crews singing the names of Kepler's dead as they died. Fighters flew suicide missions into alien command centers. Human soldiers fought to the last man, never retreating, never surrendering. Captain Park Suho commanded a destroyer that was badly damaged and surrounded by enemy ships. His crew was down to 30 people and their weapons were nearly depleted. Any logical species would surrender. Captain, the aliens are demanding our surrender, his tactical officer reported. Park looked at the photo of his dead sister's family that he kept on his command chair. She had been a doctor on Kepler Station, saving lives until the aliens took her life away. Signal all crew, he ordered. Ramming speed. Target their flagship. His ship accelerated toward the massive alien vessel, human voices singing old Earth songs as they flew toward certain death. The impact destroyed both ships, but it also took out the enemy fleet's command structure. The remaining alien vessels fled in panic. Admiral Shin's greatest victory came when he turned the Confederation species against each other. He had studied their history carefully and knew about ancient rivalries that the Alliance had suppressed. The Zephyrians and Vorthons had fought a brutal war 500 years ago. The crystalline beings had enslaved both species before the Confederation was formed. These old hatreds still existed beneath the surface of their alliance. Shin began broadcasting carefully crafted messages on alien communication networks. He sent fake evidence that the Zephyrians were planning to betray their Vorthon allies. He spread rumors that the crystalline beings were harvesting resources meant for other species. The aliens' logical minds tried to analyze the information, but their ancient prejudices made them suspicious. Soon, Confederation fleets were fighting each other instead of humans. Species that had worked together for centuries began destroying each other's worlds. President Moon Hyojin sat in her office on Earth, reading reports from the front lines. Human losses were heavy, but they were winning. Every day brought news of another alien world falling to human forces. Her secretary entered with a worried expression. Madam President, we're receiving transmission requests from multiple Confederation governments. They all want to speak with you directly. Put them through, Moon said coldly. The screen filled with desperate alien faces. The same species that had ordered the Kepler massacre now begged for mercy. A crystalline diplomat spoke first, his voice shaking. President Moon, we request immediate peace negotiations. The current conflict serves no logical purpose. We can offer technological exchanges, territorial concessions, tribute payments. You can offer nothing we want, Moon replied. 20 years ago you murdered our children and laughed while they died. You thought we would forget and move on like civilized beings. A Zephyrian leader interrupted, panic clear in his voice. We can give you entire star systems, advanced weapons, medical technology that could extend human life. We do not want your gifts, Moon said. We want justice. A Vorthon ambassador tried a different approach. Surely your people are tired of war. This conflict has cost both sides dearly. Rational beings seek peaceful solutions. Moon stood up, her face hard as stone. You keep using words like logical, and rational, and civilized. You do not understand what those words mean. Civilized beings do not murder children. Rational beings do not break peace treaties for profit. Logical beings learn from their mistakes. The aliens fell silent, finally beginning to understand the depth of their error. You wanted to see what humans become when our children are threatened, Moon continued. Now you know. We become your worst nightmare. We become the monsters who remember everything and forgive nothing. The transmission ended, leaving the alien leaders staring at blank screens. Across the galaxy, human fleets continued their advance. Each ship carried photos of the dead, drawings made by children who would never grow up, and the burning determination to make the galaxy remember Kepler Station forever. The tide had turned, and the aliens were drowning in the flood they had created. The Confederation ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their hulls gleaming in the afternoon sun. Inside the lead vessel, Supreme Diplomat Kethvar practiced the words he would use to convince the humans to end their devastating war. He had negotiated peace treaties for 3 centuries. Surely these primitive beings could be reasoned with. Remember, he told his delegation as they prepared to land, humans are an emotional species. We must appear humble and offer generous terms. They will see the logic of peace once we explain the benefits. The alien ships landed at Geneva Spaceport, where human officials waited in formal dress uniforms. No weapons were visible, but Kethvar noticed something strange. Every human wore a black ribbon on their uniform. Every face showed the same cold expression. "Welcome to Earth," said Ambassador Lee Salmon, her voice polite but empty of warmth. "President Moon and Fleet Admiral Kim are waiting for you." The delegation was escorted through the city in armored vehicles. Kethvar looked out the windows, expecting to see the usual signs of a war-weary population. Instead, he saw something that chilled his crystalline heart. Every building displayed photos of humans who had died at Kepler Station. Children's faces smiled down from massive screens. Names were carved into stone monuments on every street corner. "How many memorials are there?" asked his assistant nervously. "Too many," Kethvar replied, beginning to understand that this negotiation would be more difficult than he had thought. They arrived at the United Nations building, but it had been transformed. The familiar structure now bore a new addition, a massive black wall that stretched for hundreds of meters. As they approached, Kethvar could see that the wall was covered in names, photos, and personal details. Lee Yunbai, age 8, loved drawing pictures of flowers, read one entry. Park Jimin, age 12, wanted to be a starship engineer. Dr. Kim Sunho, age 34, was expecting his first child. 10,000 names. 10,000 faces. 10,000 lives cut short by Confederation weapons. The alien delegation walked past the memorial in silence, their confidence cracking with each step. These were not just statistics or casualties of war. These were individual people with families, dreams, and futures that would never come to pass. Fleet Admiral Kim Miho waited in the conference chamber, his uniform bearing the scars of 50 battles. His hair had turned gray during the long war, and his face showed the weight of commanding humanity's revenge. Beside him sat President Moon Hyojin and other Earth leaders, all wearing the same expression of cold determination. Kethvar straightened his robes and activated his diplomatic protocols. "Admiral Kim, President Moon, we come to you in the spirit of peace. The Galactic Confederation recognizes that mistakes were made in the past. We are prepared to offer substantial reparations for the unfortunate incident at Kepler Station." Incident? Admiral Kim's voice was quiet but deadly. "You call the murder of 10,000 innocent people an incident?" "Poor word choice," Kethvar admitted quickly. "We acknowledge the tragedy and wish to make amends. We offer advanced medical technology that could extend human lifespans by centuries. We can provide unlimited energy sources. Entire star systems can be gifted to Earth as compensation." President Moon spoke for the first time. "What do you think we want from you?" "Territory, resources, technology," Kethvar replied confidently. "These are what all species desire. We can provide them in abundance." "We want none of those things," Admiral Kim said, standing slowly. "Follow me." He led them to a viewing chamber that overlooked the memorial wall. Through the massive windows, they could see human families placing flowers at the base of the black stone. Children too young to remember Kepler Station learned the names of the dead from their parents. "Do you see that woman there?" Admiral Kim pointed to an elderly lady kneeling before one of the photos. "That is Dr. Park Soo-jin. She lost her husband and son at Kepler Station. For 25 years, she has come here every day to remember them." The aliens watched as the woman traced her finger over her child's name carved in stone. "Every day she whispers the same words, 'We remember you. We will never forget.' That woman helped design the weapons that are currently destroying your worlds." Kethvar felt something he had never experienced before, true fear. "Admiral, surely you understand that continued warfare serves no purpose. Your species has proven its point. The Confederation acknowledges human strength. Peace serves all our interests." Admiral Kim turned to face the alien directly. "You killed our children while they begged for mercy. You harvested our station while our families suffocated in the cold vacuum of space. Your soldiers laughed as they stepped over the bodies of our loved ones." The Admiral's voice grew colder with each word. "You thought we would forget this tragedy and move on like rational beings? You believed humans would accept the loss and seek profitable relationships with our killers." He gestured toward the memorial wall where 10,000 names gleamed in the afternoon light. But humans don't forget. We remember everything. Every name, every face, every scream. Every child who will never grow up. Every parent who died protecting their family. Every dream that was destroyed by your greed. Kethvar tried one final appeal. The past cannot be changed. We can only look toward the future. Continued war will destroy both our civilizations. You should have considered the future 25 years ago, Admiral Kim replied. You should have thought about peace when you decided our children's lives meant nothing. The Admiral pressed a button on his communicator. Across the galaxy, human fleet commanders received new orders. The advance would continue. More Confederation worlds would burn. President Moon stood and faced the trembling alien delegation. You wanted to see what humans become when our children are threatened. Now you know. We become the species that never forgets. We become the nightmare that follows you across the stars. The aliens were escorted back to their ships in silence. As they lifted off from Earth, they could see the memorial wall growing larger, with new names being added for every human who died in the war. Across the galaxy, Confederation worlds received the same message broadcast on all frequencies. We remember Kepler Station. We remember them all. And we are coming. The war continued and the humans remembered everything.